wife and I, and thank God I had my wife at the time, and we set off to do this. I designed products and she built them.
And again, it was started in a garage just in Sunnyvale, Santa Clara.
Santa Clara, yeah. Yeah, we had Kim Singett come over at night and line up a few modulators. And I can't remember that lady's name that helped, put things together, but she was a friend of Barbara's. Barbara Williams took care of the books for us, and she lived with us. And so it was all, a little thing. One of the first things I did was Norman Gillespie had a bunch of satellite receivers or something that he got that didn't work right. And I figured out how to modify them for him, so we did all those. Yeah, my son, John did it on the back porch. And one of the first contract I got was through an old Times Fiber contact who was working at Pirelli. A.C. Dyke-Miller, better known as Dyke.
Right.
And this was really interesting. At Pirelli, he was a marketeer, and we had there was two guys, Bill Jensen and Don Bodell, and they were big company, hard charging, hard drinking, spending company expense money, traveling, the world on behalf of Pirelli, being big shots. And for some reason, Bodell did not like me at all. Because I guess I probably knew how to do a few things that he was supposed to be able to know how to do. I don't know. I never figured it out. But anyway, they had a requirement that needed some converters. One of the things that I've specialized in my entire life is converters. And they needed them quick. Well, Dyke came to me and said, "What can you do for us?" And I told him what we could do. He got a PO for us, got it signed by the guy running the company. His name was Stan Johnson. And we had our first PO. Bodell was on vacation or out of the country, I don't know. He came back, canceled the order. Stan Johnson didn't have any, kahunas, and let him do it. So the first order we ever had ended up in a lawsuit, which we won, ultimately.
Had you already bought inventory and so forth?
Oh, yeah, we bought it. We bought all kinds of stuff, made commitments to people, all that kind of stuff. And, I got to hire an attorney in Connecticut to, so we and that was the demise of Stan Johnson. But it also, that's the guy that came in and settled the whole thing was John Isles. And of course he went on to buy that division from Pirelli, because it really wasn't Pirelli's bag of, they made tires, they made transmission cables for power. They didn't belong in that business, and he told them that. They had a lot of respect for him, so they listened to him. Then he turned around and bought it, and it became Orchard. Oh. And we did a lot of business with Orchard. We did the LA airport, and we provided all the modulators and things like that. They provided the fiber things. But from there, we had some fortunate things. Like, I don't know if you remember Cecil Turner.
Name's familiar.
Oh, Cecil Turner was, Bug Tussle. If you did just you didn't stir crap around. He was a rep. He represented Jerrold not in the CATV business. but in the dealer business, guys that did hotels, that did, at the time, you know, it was a burgeoning, just small starting business, SMA TV, things like that. And there was a whole group of these guys. But Cecil was an independent. The rest of them worked for the company. And Cecil he'd lived across the street from when we were on Tasman. He lived in that trailer park, he and his wife. And so he'd stop by, you know, every couple times a year. And I got to know him pretty well. He was a tough old guy. He'd always come in and say, you know, he gets so tired of big companies. That's who we represented. It'd take him a month of Sundays to get through to these guys, and he'd come over and ask me, well, how would you do this? And so we had done our first Agile modulator, and I had it. I think I had it. I can't remember for sure. I think I had it at a booth. No, that wasn't it. No. I think he came up here, stopped by. Showed it to him. He says, you know, somebody at Jerrold needs what you're doing. Or these kind of things. He says, they got some kind of product they think is good, but it's no good. And I'm going to have somebody give you a call. So I get a call from this guy by the name of Dave Robinson. And they said that they need a processor that's frequency agile. And I said, well, let me, you know. So I figured out how to do it, and they gave us an order to do it. It wasn't a lot of money, but enough to pay for it. So we developed a processor. And worked well. They were really delighted. So that was the S450P. And they were making a modulator, which was an S450M down in Mexico. It's just south of Tucson. I think that's Nogales, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, that wasn't a very good piece of equipment. It was poorly designed. You couldn't stack any number of them at all. It just, you know, missed the point. So they came to us and said, well, we need a modulator now. So we did that. Then they needed a D-mod, so we did that. So the whole S-series product line for Jerrold, then General Instrument, then Motorola, we did for many, many years. We did, I don't know how many thousands. We did the first modulators for China, which was the S550 MC. And they sold, until China figured out how to knock all this stuff off, whether they did it effectively or not, they made it look the same anyway. But we did that for many, many years. I don't know how many for sure, but at least it probably started in the late 80s and worked, and we did work for them until almost 2000, way over 10 years. That's when they discontinued selling those kind of products, but we did the whole product line.